Hi, I'm Christine and I'm back with another video. As I mentioned on screen during my previous video, as I was recording, a new teaser trailer came out that I felt I had to return to. So that's what I'm doing today. And of course, there's been so much new footage coming out. A lot of it still is sort of like they are doing remixes of old content we've already seen, but there's always like snippets of new stuff in there sprinkled throughout. And in this particular teaser, we're going to see quite a bit of new footage that hasn't been shown elsewhere. So that's exciting. But like I said, lots of new stuff coming out. I think there were like 3 different clips that came out yesterday, or at least that's when they were added to Marvel's YouTube channel. There's a longer clip of Matt and Fisk in the diner. There's also a behind the scenes special clip featuring Charlie and Vincent and John Bernthal and some of the people who are working behind the camera. And then there's a nice interview with Charlie, Vincent, Eldon Henson, and Deborah Ann Woll. So that's exciting. So we'll see. I mean, there's still like more than 10 days to go, so I bet there will be more. I don't want them to spoil the entire season, but I feel like they know what they're doing, so I think we're pretty safe. But with that said, let's have a look at the teaser trailer that is called Vigilante, which features a lot of Matt not being a vigilante, actually, which is interesting in itself.
My name is Matthew Murdoch.
There's no further comment at this stage.
I'm a lawyer.
That's all for now. Thank you.
Exactly what kind of a lawyer are you? Really good one. Vigilantes are not heroes. Yeah. Daredevil, Born Again, only on Disney Plus.
One thing I thought was interesting with this teaser is that it's showing us a lot of footage from Matt's home life, which is a little bit different from what we've seen before. So there's first is one scene that actually did show up in the previous teaser of Matt just sort of having a cup of coffee. I must admit that I initially thought that that was him having coffee out, like in a diner or somewhere else, but it does appear to be where he lives, which is, of course, interesting because I know a lot of people were very deeply attached to apartment 6A. That was the apartment in Hell's Kitchen that Matt used to live in back in the day of the original Netflix show. And I think what we're going to see is, as Wilson Fisk has pointed out, he's come up in the world. So he's living in a new apartment. He has exchanged the beer that used to be in the refrigerator for red wine. I'm sure he still drinks beer, but I think it's an interesting kind of contrast that, again, I think is intended to sort of just be an indicator of his social movement upward, so to speak. And so that is interesting. He does a little bit of cooking, which he's done before. He cooked for Claire. I also find it interesting to contrast this with the scenes of Wilson Fisk cooking an omelet. One thing that's very interesting is that we're seeing the first clip of Kirsten McDuffie. She's someone who's been talked about quite a bit, but we haven't seen her in any of the previous footage. But she's played by Nikki M. James, who is also actually in another one of my favorite shows, Severance, or she was in the first season anyway. So fun to see her back on screen. And we also see Heather Glenn again, which makes me feel better about doing that, a little bit of a detour, deep dive into her history in the comics in my previous video, because I assume she is going to be the steady girlfriend of this show, which of course was what I initially thought anyway, but it's interesting to see her show up here again in a sort of romantic embrace with Matt. Matt also has a much nicer shower now. I don't think we saw, well, we did see a little bit of his bathroom in the previous show, but I'm pretty sure I remember it being much smaller than this one. So it's good that he gets to recover from his fights out on the town. Which, of course, brings us to some of the vigilante moments in this trailer. We have Matt in a very sort of bright red suit that I assume is just from the lighting of that particular scene. because we also see it looking slightly different and different lighting. I assume we're not really going to get a closer look at what this actually looks like, or whether it's even the exact same costume. It could be different ones. I mean, we've seen that whole row he had of different colored helmets. So who knows if these scenes are even from like the same timeline, or I mean, one of them could be a flashback scene to some other previous point in time relative to this show. And we have Fisk wiping his forehead with a very, very bloodied hand. In fact, that blood looks so dark that I initially assumed it had to be something other than blood, but what would that be? Like tar? So he, I guess, has not given up on his old ways of becoming very sort of intimately, physically violent with the people he needs to, well, demonstrate his power to, let's say. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, we do get a little bit of a look into Matt's life, and we get the classic Matt putting on his suit scene, which is also something that is fondly remembered from, I think, season 2 of the original show. And he looks very well organized, as he should be. And again, it's going to be interesting to see what the set designers do this time to sort of arrange Matt's personal space in a way that makes sense. I do see hints of some braille labels underneath the shoes, which makes me very happy because I care a lot about that stuff, as everyone who knows me will know at this point. But yeah, so I thought that was it was an interesting look into Matt on the streets, but also Matt in the sheets, or well, at home anyway. So let me know what you think. You can comment on my website. There will be a link to the relevant post in the show notes. And I will see you soon. Bye.